y'all, welcome back to another episode of Two Scrippers One Pole. I have absolutely no clue what the hell is going on with these daggone mics, or this mic, because normally I can hear myself in my headphones and I can't hear myself as loud as I normally would, and it's really bothering me. But I tested it out in music and it worked, so I don't really know what the problem is. Welcome back to another episode. I may have said that already. So, unfinished thoughts. Last episode I burped and I was like, I'm gonna come back to that, and then I never circled back to that. Also, I'm still waiting on sound effect suggestions, unfinished thoughts. What did I say? Let me go back to my notes. Or was it on my sticky note that I don't have anymore? Did I finally get rid of that sticky note? But I feel like I wrote it down in here. No, I don't see it. Go back to what episode was that? Let me look. Y'all, it really don't, like, the things that I can't recall don't always be that serious, but I'm like, I brought it up, so I gotta see it to the finish line, and finish whatever thought that is, so that this just doesn't become an everlasting series of unfinished thoughts. I feel like I could probably do, this really bothers me that I can't hear my voice that well. I could do a spin-off series on unfinished thoughts. I'm still pulling up this video. See, now I'm so committed, and I really hope, was it pelvic thrust shit? I think it was pelvic thrust shit. What was I even talking about? Oh, sound effects. Yeah, so go back to pelvic thrust shit. And I think I listed them there. It was either that or calling all fart connoisseurs. I don't really remember. But that was while I had COVID. So I was delirious anyway. But I don't need to be delirious all the time, because I just feel like a lot of times this podcast is a constant loop of deliriousness. Anyway, today's been a day, okay? I'm a little bit frustrated because I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I was feeling good. And I'm still feeling good, don't get me wrong. I planned out my day. Like, I did some meditation on the balcony. I did some yoga. I ate breakfast. I cleaned for an hour. Like, I was really on it. And then I went to work. And I went in, my plan was to go from like 10 to 1, come back home and like rest and read for an hour, then for another hour clean. Then from 3:30 to 6:30, I was going to record the podcast and like edit it. And then I think like I was going to take another hour break of rest and eating and stuff. And then I was going to do some FinDom things. And then I got to work at 9:30 and I didn't freaking end up leaving till 3. I was pissed. And I'm like, at that point, according to my schedule, I was supposed to have already started like the podcast, and I was just really stressed out. But I was like, obviously it's okay. I came home and then I ate and I took an accidental nap because I was like, well, okay, I'll take the hour to rest before I do work, and I'll just do like cleaning later. So then woke up. Well, I set my alarm for like 6:45, but I really couldn't go to sleep. So I started watching last week's episode, but then I fell asleep. Do y'all be falling asleep? Because I be falling asleep. I keep trying to finish the episode, and then I just keep falling asleep. Do I be putting y'all to sleep? That's crazy. Anyway, so I fell asleep during that. Then Juan called me and we was catching up about my high school reunion that was over the weekend. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I hopped in the shower and I was like, okay, tomorrow's Wednesday and I don't want to have to record and edit Wednesday. So like, let me just sit in front of this damn camera and get it cracking. So I took notes that are actually a lot more coherent than the beginning half. I'm only 5 minutes in and I feel like that whole first like 2 to 3 minutes was just like crazy rambling. Anyway, but yeah, it's like 6:57, which originally I was like, dang, I was supposed to be done and working on resting right now. But it's okay. The sun is out. It feels really good. I really honestly should have did this episode outside because it feels really good outside. It felt really nice yesterday. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday was a bit of a long day too. I started out my morning in a similar manner. Then I had to stop by my job. And then I had to go out to DC to get some paperwork. And then I came back home. And I meant to take a little nap. And then I was knocked out. Then I was knocked out again. And that's when I woke up early today. And this is really like my last week of I want to say as much freedom, because next week I'm excited, but I am starting a new job that it's like a summer camp, so but I have to actually like teach, and I'm like, everything is just it's so much. Like, I just knew I was gonna have a break. I always be knowing I'm gonna have a break. Sometimes I wish I was sick again because it forces me to sit down, but I do have a better balance and awareness of, okay, I need to take a break or starting to work in increments, and then just making sure like I have right now, because the trash, it's hot in here, so the trash was baking. I walked in and I was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, if you listen to, I forget what number episode that is, but with Madam Glitter Push, shout out Liana, I love you, girl. But that is an audio episode where the freaking audio got messed up because, okay, also, I'm still pissed off about last week's audio. Like, y'all know I really be trying so hard to get this audio right. I want to be an audio guru. And I feel like everything's against me when it comes to audio. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I was so pissed because that is a really good episode. But at one point in time, my phone would connect to my laptop. And it would do like, oh, do you want to use this mic or some shit like that? So it did that while we were recording. And the whole time, the audio apparently was coming from my phone, which meant my phone was not recording the video. And the audio, in my opinion, sucks. So I was like really pissed. I tried to like throw it into like a AI generator cleanup thing. Nothing. And I was like, well, it's still a good episode, and y'all get what the fuck I give you. Like, we had a great conversation. And that was last year during PoleCon. She literally took a little break from PoleCon and stopped by my house and said what's up and recorded with the girl. So shout out her. That's like, I love her. That's my girl. That is one of my original like well, actually no, like I didn't actually start taking classes with Liana until probably about I want to say maybe like my third year in pole. Like, I knew of her because she worked at Expose. I believe she's still there. But I knew of her. But she was I think I talked about it in an episode. She was always like a little bit intimidated. And I was like, oh my God, I just admired her from a distance. And I really don't remember when we had our first conversation. But it wasn't until after I had a conversation with her that I took a class with her. But I've always admired her from a distance. And my last performance, she performed too. And it's so funny too. I'm like, if you're listening to this, or anybody who knows her is listening to this, it's like she's actually shy. And she kind of talks about it in the last episode. So check out Nigga I Do Fart Glitter with Madam Glitter Puss. I don't remember what episode number that is, but it was from the first season, and it's audio only. But yeah. Why did I go off on that rant? Oh, because I was talking about this stupid fucking audio. But how did I get there? I don't know. So I'm doing my day in increments, and that has been working out a little bit. I've only been doing it for a couple of days now, so I can't really give an accurate description of how it's doing for me. Um, but yeah, I was talking about yesterday. I was talking about today. Um, I know I talked a lot about my plants last week, but like I said, I fell asleep trying to rewatch it. So I fell asleep during the whole plant section. But since last week, I have obtained a pothos cutting, and I also got a ZZ plant, and I have a never never plant coming my way. And I forget what other, I think she said a monstera. She was going to try to see what cutting she had. So that's exciting. I was not gentle with my chamomile plant. And so I saw that sprout, and when I went to water a couple of days later, I should have misted it. I didn't think about it. I should have misted it, but I poured the water in it, and it like basically drowned the sprout. So I'm hoping that the rest of them can come to, but I did keep a couple of seeds in case I do have to restart that process. My thyme, kind of the same thing, accidentally like poured the shit on top of them, and a lot of them sank, but for the most part they're still, it's still doing pretty good. And then my sage sprouted. I'm gonna actually show you my sage because my sage looks really good. So this is my sage at the moment. And there's two that still have the little, like, I guess seed covering on it. I almost bought a Venus flytrap today, but I was like, I really need to stop buying so many plants. I stuffed my pillows because they were flat. I'm like a bodybuilder. Yo, I got muscles. Look at that. Ugh. Okay. Uh, um, it was something else I was saying. Was it about plants? I really don't know why I'm so bad today. These sound waves look insane. Um, I'm really ditzy right now. I was talking about the sage. I was talking about almost buying a Venus flytrap. Oh, so my snake plant, I'm gonna move off of plants in a second, y'all. But my snake plant, the big one, Lena, I've been saying that I'm going to break her down and propagate her and blah 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 whatever, which is still very much in the plan. But I noticed like last week that there was this little like a it looked, my cousin said it looked like an asparagus, and actually that was very accurate. So it looked like an asparagus was coming out, and at first it was like small, so I couldn't really tell what was happening, but now it's like really really tall. And so I was like, oh my god, like what's going on? And so I looked it up, and when snake plants are root bound, and this happens to like a couple of different flowers, like if there's stress, and I don't know if it's specifically, but from my understanding is that like if there's some kind of stressor happening within the environment, then the roots will push that energy elsewhere. So in the case of the snake plants, what's happening is it's root bound, which means it's definitely time for me to change the pot if I want to be able to like keep it growing. Which I'm going to do anyway and break it down. But in this specific case, because it's root bound, it's now putting that energy into growing flowers. So a snake plant can flower under the right conditions. And I was like, oh my God, I never knew that. That's so cool. So it's still in my plan later this week to break that down into like smaller plants. But with that section, I am going to like keep, go through those roots and see and like section that off so that it's still kind of a similar environment. So I'm really excited to see, and I want to show you guys what that looks like. So back to how I got here, my unfinished thought about burps, which almost became another unfinished thought. So I think I mentioned on one of these episodes how when I was using Seeking Arrangements, I had this guy ask me how many times could I burp consecutively. And I was like, I forget the exact conversation, but it was something about like I could definitely do. I think I said I could something. I said something about like I can definitely do at least 10. And I was like I tend to lose depth around 100. I tend to lose depth around 6. And so then that like kind of sparked the conversation, but then later on he basically was like, what are you on here for? And I explained that I didn't say I was a Dom, but like, I'm looking for a sugarless sugar daddy. And so he didn't believe that those were real. And he like laughed at me. And he's like, he then decided to text me about 15 times after that, talking about how delusional I was and how delusional women are and why we think that we're going to get anything we want and da da da, and went off on this rant. And I'm like, I literally ended my side of the message when he was just like, oh, you think you're going to get that, da da da. And I was like, I'll find what I'm looking for. Thanks. Have a good day. And like, stop texting him. And then he just kept sending me text messages with like laughing emojis and like trying to make me sad, I guess. I don't know. And I'm like, but I'm delusional, but you're talking to yourself in my messages. Okay. Like, men. Anyway. But I had like posted the screenshots and it caused a lot of funniness in my DMs. So the other day when I was doing live, I need to paint my nails. When I was live on Loyal Fans, I started I started burping. So we did a contest and I was counting, and I made it to, drum roll please, that's a horrible drum. I actually have a drum, but y'all, I got a tambourine. The tambourine and the drummer over there, I'm not gonna get up and get it as much as I really want to though. So maybe next episode, let me write that down so y'all can see. Drum and y'all hear them baby ass kids outside. Oh, drum roll please. I did 123 burps, all very strong. And I just kept going. Excuse me for anybody that doesn't like a burp. But then some of them, the more I kept going, they were getting like really elongated. I actually have it on camera. I recorded that live and then I spliced that because I was like, this is a perfect clip to put on the clip sites, which I have also been falling behind on. I'm like, oh my god, everything's so much. But it's okay. I'm taking my time and I will find a balance. It's just a lot. There's a lot to be done this month, and I'm really getting tired of certain things. Like, I'm reaching the point of with certain things that it's just like, okay, it really is time to let go of this. So we're in July. August is my birthday month. So next month, this month is going to be great, but next month is definitely going to be great because your girl will be 28. Look at my hair. Y'all, my hair growing like shit. My mom, she was asking me if I planned on cutting it or when I was going to cut it because she mentioned how it was getting long. And her and her friend started clowning me and was like, don't let it get to your butt. And like the whole debate of like it wiping your shit for you and all this stuff. And I was like, honestly, I don't understand when the girlies be getting braids down to your booty crack, because how does it not in a way, and even if it's not in a way, like having to constantly pull your hair to the side. I did that once. I braided my hair to butt crack length one time, never again. I kept them bitches in for a week and it took me 3 days to finish it, and I took them out after a week because what? No. And I ended up braiding them and just like pinning them up for that entire week because they were just too long. I did not like it. So shout out to the girlies that got hair that long. Can't relate. Will never relate. And So she was asking me how long I planned on, like at what length would I cut them. And honestly, I want them to be like probably, I'm gonna say, okay, my booty crack is like right here. I want to say probably like mid back, like right before my hips start to dip. So I'm acting like I can't stand up and show y'all. Ooh, look at that ass. Um, I would say like right here, right before my booty start to curve. Right here is probably where I'll cut them. Um, yeah. So that's my tidbit on that. But it was hot in here, y'all. I finally got me one of those misting fans. I probably should not do that with glasses on. I got me one of those misting fans, and I finally got me one of the battery powered ones, so I don't have to like. And I have a bunch of the hand ones, but I guess I'll tell my weekend a little bit out of order. So Sunday, Silver Spring had their Pride, and it was the last day of Pride, and it was a lot of fun. My mom was volunteering at a, there was a testing center. I forget which one. I think it was Dennis Avenue, in Silver Spring, their testing center. But I do believe they only service Montgomery County residents. Not sure. I would call and double, triple check. But I know the first time that I went there, I had trouble. I like did all the stuff, and they were like, "Oh, you have to be MoCo," and I was like, "Well, I had called." So just make sure that you talk to a couple people. If you are not a MoCo resident, but we'll really do that with any place. I know that like I usually go to AHF to get my testing done. AIDS Health Foundation, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. I believe I'm blinking, but I believe that's what it stands for. But they have different locations. I talk about them all the time. They're in my link tree. But that's like if you don't have a primary care or you don't have somewhere you could go, that is a clinic that does free testing. They do work with you for medication. I've been going to them ever since 2019, definitely since 2019. I think that I think since 2018. But the only thing is that they don't do like a full panel. When you do get tested at your doctors and things like that, you do want a full panel testing because for whatever reason, capitalism, and I guess pharmacology too, which is part of capitalism. But although herpes is one of the most common STIs, they don't automatically test for it. You would think that they would, but more money in testing and other things. So it is not included in like your regular set of STD testing. So just make sure like when you go to a doctor, or even some clinics do the full panel, but those might cost a little bit more. But definitely always, always ask for at least, I say every 3 to 6 months get tested. I like to go for every 3 months. So that's 4 times a year getting tested, at least 4 times a year. Whether you are sexually active or not, like if you're not sexually active, then you could do like every 6 months, so twice a year. But especially if you're sexually active, or you recently just got done, like maybe you're going on a celibacy journey, at least for that first year, definitely I would say still do every 3 months, because there's a such thing as dormant. So you can contract, especially with HIV, like you can contract it, and like those first 2 weeks you may or may not show like severe symptoms of just like flu-like symptoms, because HIV is an immunodeficiency disorder. So it affects your immune system, making you more susceptible to other STDs, and really just other sicknesses, because it compromises your immune system. Your body, it has a harder time fighting off any other thing. So I forget. I actually have a book that I plan on reading a little blurb from, but I don't know where I put that book in this moment. So Yeah. But anyway, um, I forget. There's like an actual term that they call us, like other communicable. I can't remember off the top of my head. Hopefully, I can grab that book and read a little something. But yeah, things like that. There's been cases where people have like been infected, and then it wasn't until years later where they actually did test positive for HIV, or at this point, because it went unchecked for however long, it could be it could turn into AIDS. So just always, always, always protect yourself and get tested. Which also kind of brings up part of the point that I wanted to talk about too, is like PrEP, which I should know this. But there's PrEP, which is pre-exposure prophylaxis, which helps it is a preventative measure from getting HIV. And then there's also PEP, which is post-exposure prophylaxis. So that's like if you think you may have been exposed to it, you can take it within 48 hours to reduce the chances of contracting HIV. So PrEP is in the form of either a daily pill, or I don't know why I said pill like that, a daily pill, or if your insurance covers it, you can get is it 2 shots per year? I forget how frequently it is, but you do get the shots. It's either 2 shots per year, or it might be 2 shots per I feel like 2 shots per month is a lot though. Let me see. PrEP. I'm acting like I can't Google it. That's what this is for. Why don't I move this closer? Over here trying to stretch and whatnot. Oh, Lord. Dee-doo-dee. Fan kick 2. Push it back up to the beat. Do whatever. Look at me, I look so good. Bring it back down. Boom, boom, boom. Bring it back up. Boom, boom. Ooh, ooh. Boom, boom, boom. Be careful while practicing, y'all. Do not do things like me, okay? I know it's monkey say, not monkey do. Do as I say, not as I do. Like, on all levels, okay? Because your journey is your journey. But like, be more careful than I be. This is the disclaimer, okay? Anyway, we're gonna kick it up, and then I could do a little booty 1 and 2. Shaking that ass for some $2 bills. Shaking that ass for some $2 bills. Shaking that ass. Somebody went to the bank and they gave him $2 bills. Okay. Sugar little ass. Oh, that's what I said. I said trace it up. I can trace it. Got peep through the city. I think that would be really fucking dope. A little scary, but that's something that you got to build yourself. Like, you have these conversations, start small, and then work your way up. So you would start with like a blindfold or something. And you can kind of walk them around, move them around, safely. Like, you don't want, unless humiliation is your thing and you want to like do a little tripping or something like that. But again, this should be talked about. And if you're going to do something as a person who's doming or topping a scene, or, a night with your partner, the sub is putting their safety, their life, everything, like every element of BDSM, and not even BDSM, because these are things that we're doing. Like some food play, y'all. I had, this real hot, this one time I took some grapes and I froze them. story. Because, so he was on his stomach, and then he wanted to turn around onto his back, and he's like, step on my chest. And then he's like, if you stand really still and don't move, you'll be able to feel me breathing. So I was like, ooh, really? And sure enough, we both were like, and I was just rising and falling on his chest. It was pretty fucking cool. Then he wanted me to step on his balls and like twist them. And then he asked me to step on his hand and with like my actual heel. And then at that point, like, he was asking me, did I smoke? And I said, yeah. He was like, do you smoke cigars? And I said, occasionally. And then he asked me if he could be my human ashtray. And I was like, you shouldn't be crossing holes like that. But in a sense, like, I believe the banana would be fine because the condom is a barrier and then the peel of the skin is the barrier. But like, I might do a frozen banana in a poom poom before I did it in the butt. So yeah, cause buttholes get crazy. Okay. I had to take a quick commercial break because it took me way too long to look that up. But yeah, so PrEP, you can either take it in the form of a daily pill, or you get it injected every 2 months. So that would be 6 times a year. So yeah, and then recently I found out about DoxyPep, which is it's basically PrEP but for other STDs. Let me see, DoxyPep, and I don't know how new this is, but it's preventative treatment for syphilis, chlamydia, and gonorrhea. So yeah, definitely talk to your healthcare provider, your doctor, and so, okay, I'll finish my Sunday. Because my Saturday and my Sunday, yeah, and I'll end on Saturday. So, my mom was working the table. I went and me and Katie went to the Pride Festival, and then my mom had told me that they were doing testing for free and they were giving gift cards. So I was like, ooh, okay. And I always love a good test. Like, I get tested multiple times a year. So I got there, and they were saying that I could do like the rapid HIV test and still get a gift card, or I could do like a full panel. And I was like, I don't get full panels that often, but I do at least get the other testing. So I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and get the full panel. So they were moving a little slow, and this feels so good. They were moving a little slow. But they were also, because it was like a huge Pride festival, like they had a whole bunch of vendors. They had a whole bunch of like vendors, like people selling their own products. There were a lot of churches that were saying, that they do welcome members of the LGBT community. There were like different organizations. And yeah, it was just like really cool. There was stuff going on outside. There was stuff going on inside. It was just like everybody was out, and everybody was like, it was a great time. So they had a drag show as part of the events. And my mom was saying how, she'd never been to one. She really wanted to go. And the drag show had started while I was waiting to get tested. They were a little bit short-staffed. And so her and Katie went to go watch it. Then my mom like comes back or whatever, and then I go downstairs with Katie, and I had caught the last part of somebody's I forget what her name was, but I had caught the last like maybe 2 or so minutes of their performance, and then the host was like, can I get some volunteers? Why the fuck did this bitch Katie, ooh, me? And then she run up on the stage. She started giving me her stuff, and he was telling more people to come. And she was like, come on, Kiki. So then me and her hop on the fucking stage. I'm like, Lord have mercy. So then she's like, I don't even know what I signed us up for. So then the host was like, oh, it's time for a catwalk. She was like, oh, fuck, why the fuck I do that? And I was like, yeah, why did you do that? Why the fuck did you do that? So it's like a freaking room full of people, and it was way too many of us on that stage. I was so tired. It was, how many contestants was 1? I was 2. Katie was 3. 4. Miss Penny was lit. It was 5. Then 6. 7, 8, 9. It was 9 of us on that stage. It should have been a cap at 5. But maybe they just needed, I don't know. But it was like everybody was kind of caught off guard. But I was like, honestly, y'all should have expected some kind of catwalk. Like, we're at a drag show. What's happening? So I was just really mad because I went second. So I really didn't have time to mentally prepare myself. And they gave me a fucking ballet song. How the fuck am I supposed to like dead drop to this shit? It was, no, I was not. What? Oh, that's a text from work. I don't have time. I'm clocked out. Y'all people giving my freaking number. Anyway. I'm annoyed. I'm really loving this fan. So, yeah, they gave me fucking ballet music. And then Katie was like, give me some Beyonce. And they did not give her Beyonce. And Katie didn't record me. But honestly, I'm glad because I was just doing stuff to get off the stage. And then Katie did some twerking. That was funny. This one little girl, I was so scared because one girl, she was really excited and she started doing cartwheels. And I was like, baby, please don't fall off the stage. And then this other girl, she was adorable. And she was like, this is my first time on stage. I'm so excited. So everybody was like cheering her on and was really hyped for her. So literally, it was the cutest thing. Like, literally all she did was like run back and forth from the front to the back of the stage and do this like crisscross hop thing. But at some point she was running so fast that I genuinely thought that baby girl was like gonna do a running cartwheel. And I was like, you don't have enough space cleared. So every time she ran to the front of the stage, my heart just sunk because I wasn't sure if she was going to try to cartwheel and then land into the people. But it was adorable otherwise. And then there was this one performer, Miss Penny. Miss Penny was lit, okay? Miss Penny, like, I need to go outside with Miss Penny. She like took her hat off, started swinging her shit. She had dreads down to her butt. So that was like really fun. But we lost, very much lost, which was okay with me. And then by that time, my brother came, and by that time, so part of the reason why I rushed downstairs is because I finally got, like I said, one of those little portable fans, the battery powered ones. And my mom was telling me that Planned Parenthood was giving them away. So I ran downstairs to get them. And that's when I ran into Katie, and that happened. So by the time we got off the stage, they were putting these out. And I was like, oh my God, can I have one? So they were like, yeah. And I think that's when I grabbed this tambourine too. And then I went back upstairs. And by this time, my brother was there. And both of them were like, why didn't you grab me a fan? Well, my mom said, why didn't I grab her a fan? So I went back downstairs to get her a fan. And then my brother was like, why didn't you get me a fan? And I was like, I'm not going down there and grabbing another fan. You can come with me, though. So then we went holding hands. So then, like, me and Katie started leaving, but we went outside. And I got some buy flags that I can wave. I was really excited about that. I got Dave & Buster's had a table, so I won 1 free hour of play, and then I won 2.30 off. Like, it's like a $30 additional gameplay to a $30 purchase. So I have $60. I spend $60 to get another $60, so $120 worth of play for $60. I doubt I could use them both at the same time. And then that 1 hour of free gameplay. So I need to make my way to Dave & Buster's ASAP Rocky. But yeah, that was my Sunday. It was a really good day. Where is that book that I had? I felt like it was out here, but honestly, I might have put it back in my room. Is that really? Yeah, so that's really how my Sunday went. So Saturday was my high school reunion, but I didn't go to the actual reunion. And it's funny because originally I was like, I'm not going to that shit because the ticket was like $125. Who is paying that For brunch? Oh, y'all, that's crazy. And I asked one, I was like, y'all didn't think about doing like a picnic or a cookout or something? He was like, dang, we didn't even think about that. That's why you need my ass on it. Well, I didn't even know what was happening. Honestly, I wouldn't have wanted to do it. So shout out to y'all. Like, if anybody who planned that shit is listening, shout out to y'all for real. But $125 for a brunch? Absolutely not. And all white? So you want me to wear all white? You want me to pay $125 for, okay, unlimited mimosa and food? But my thing is, like, I know myself. It's a lot of people I'm not gonna say I don't like, but it's been 10 years. I'm not talking. Oh damn, that's right in front of it. The people that I want to talk to, I still talk to. So you telling me, you asking me to pay 125 to see people that I don't necessarily care that much for, when I could pay less to go to a brunch and wear what I want with people I do surely fuck with? That's a little crazy. And I think too, what another deterrent, like, and it's no shade, but another deterrent for me is like, I don't be knowing, you don't be knowing people's tolerances. Unlimited mimosa. But what if Susie can't drink but 3 mimosas, but now on her 10th one, and like, you just and I ain't seen y'all. I don't know how people get down personally. That's like one of the factors. So the biggest deterrent was the 125. I was like, oh, I got bills to pay. No, thank you. So then they did a sale for like $88, but I still had bills to pay. And then they did a sale for 100, and I still had bills to pay. So then I started seeing that they did like a countdown or whatever. And one day I was just like, oh, let me see. And I missed the countdown. But then I realized when I went to look, that my mom had something on that day anyway. So I would have been extra pissed had I spent the money on a ticket and then had to try to resell it, and not get a refund because of that. So my morning started off, my mom had spent the last 2 months doing advocacy training. And so what is advocacy? It is, there's many definitions, but the two that I liked the most, is like when you type in what is advocacy, the first one is, the definition from Oxford Languages is public support for or recommendation of a particular cause or policy. And then the next one is, with Missouri Foundation of Health, that pops up that says advocacy is defined as any action that speaks in favor of, recommends, argues for a cause, supports or defends or pleads on behalf of others. So to advocate is to speak up and, speak up about something, and ask for change, push for change, for a better end result. So self-advocating for yourself, for better conditions, better pay, better treatment, better health, or more autonomy. That's essentially what self-advocacy is in that way. And don't eat me up in the comments if you don't feel like my definition of advocacy. Like, it's a nice way to say things. And if you don't like the way that I explain things, then politely send corrections, send question stories, topics, but also corrections to 2scripters1poll@gmail.com. Y'all, I'm having way too much fun with this fucking fan. I just love it. It's not, honestly, the water is not even cold for real. It just feels good. What was I saying? And then when I turn the fan on, the smell of this. Oh, that's how unfinished thought. I was talking about the fucking trash cans smelling like 10 cans of Bounce That Ass. Because it's so fucking hot in here. The trash was baking. And that's how I got into Liana being here. I was talking a little bit about it, of like how it really, I strive. If it's one thing I take super seriously, it is smells, and I strive so hard for a clean smelling house. That is one of the things that I'm very self-conscious about when people come into my house. You're not coming into a stinky house. And so it was like this weekend I walked in my house and it just smelled so gross, and I was so self-conscious. So I ended up starting to melt this candle wax, because that seemed to be what was helping the most. But I got so excited about that I completely forgot what I was talking about. I was talking about the fan, being obsessed with that. I was talking about my mom and the reunion. So, yeah, I was like, I can't go to the reunion now because my mom has spent the past 8 weeks doing a advocacy training. That's what I was talking about, and advocating for others. And like, yeah, so just basically teaching her like what it means to be an advocate, and like public speaking and writing proposals and things like that, and like understanding that you, in a lot of cases, you're probably starting the building blocks for the, like, it might be something that you necessarily won't see the change to or the solution to, but like starting that conversation or being the person to step up and encouraging other people to like bring along with you. And so maybe this thing that you're advocating for started out as you or maybe two other people, and then it grows to something that is better change for everyone else involved. So I know her specific mission that she's really pushing for is that with budget cuts, Prince George's health department has cut their psychosocial, their psychosocial like benefits and programs. So like support groups that the health department was, and I don't know off the top of my head all of it, but I could definitely get more information from her. But that was one of the things they did, that they cut the funding for the psychosocial. So like a lot of the support groups that people really relied on, there are no more. So like trying to push them, and she's like, some of these things I went to, and now I have to go to another county to get that same source that I was getting, and like the privilege that she has to be able to do that, but not everyone does. Like when we think about healthcare, obviously payment is so freaking expensive. That's one thing that deters people. Transportation, like some people, in my mom's case, it's like, okay, well, this is now being cut off from you in the county that you're in. Now you have to go across a county border to seek this same thing. And in some cases, some counties only serve in-county residents. And like she's lucky enough to be able to provide her own transportation. But what about the people that do have to use a train? And right now, WMATA, they closed down the red line, so or part of the red line. So if your services were in Silver Spring, you got to take a bus or whatever. Like something that would take maybe 20 minutes in like a Lyft or a Uber, if you can afford that, is now 2 hours on a bus. To then also, depending on the service, now I gotta wait however many hours. Like that's a whole day now taken away from a person to seek like something that should be simple and accessible. So she was like talking about that, and it was her and 4 other women, all advocating for, from the spectrum of like seniors, this is what seniors need, down. I don't think there was really, I think everyone might have been at least in their 40s. I'm not sure. But, there were someone pushing for housing. There's people advocating, like I said, for the seniors. Someone wants to open their own nonprofit and offer services to people. So it was really cool to see the people that she's been working with and all that she trained, that she learned. I'm not going to hold you, when it first started, it was a little awkward for me because it was in a church. And then they were saying that like this is their 4th year doing it. Ribbon is the organization, and I believe the program was Saving Ourselves. And they were saying that every year, like they've started out, like in the past, they've had like drummers, they've had like other people, and then like different music or entertainment. And they were saying that the participants this year was like, we want to go to church. I was like, oh man. But it wasn't like, at first I was like, oh, okay. And then I like quickly felt comfortable. Like I think that's the thing with me for churches, is like I don't mind being in a church, but I've had some really uncomfortable experiences, so it's like it takes me a minute to warm up to churches. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. But that was also like kind of the it was interesting. It was a really nice summit. So like I said, it was their 4th year, and some they had some people. They had a woman who works on the PG health department board, I believe, and then they also had someone from DC. And so they did a like a panel, and it was basically saying like, okay, this is what the both counties offer, this is what we can do, and this is what you can do. And then they had 3 other panelists that were actually like the directors of nonprofit organizations, and so they were all just talking about like the services they provide. And something that I thought was the theme of the summit. Do y'all hear that screaming? It's so good over here. The theme of the summit was restore, renew, and reset. And so when we think about restoring, it's bringing something back to its original state, and understanding and accepting whatever, like this brings, when you restore, you start to understand and accept things. And like I hope that makes sense. And I say that because I was really into it. And I was trying to take notes, but they was moving fast too. So it's like shorthand that I don't remember the end. But when you do bring things back to like your personal self, like when you have to bring yourself back to original state, you're understanding that like you need that break, and you're accepting that, and you're being present within that. And then renewing is that new and fresh, like you're restoring, you're bringing back to your original self so that you can kind of assess what's happening and start to renew to the best version of yourself. And this really gives you that chance to improve and reconnect with whatever that purpose you have is. And kind of like, then that's when you move into reset. And so it like by restoring and renewing yourself and resetting, you are like basically propelling yourself, kind of saying like, okay, this is what happened, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, this is what I want to work on moving forward. So now we're resetting, we're ready to come back and approach it with this renewed mind, with this restored energy, or renewed purpose. And so this is what is really like the drive, or this is what helps you to become the voice of change, because you have changed in that cycle of restoring and renewing. Like you're evaluating, you're analyzing, and just kind of reflecting. That's the word that I want to use. In that state of restoring and renewing, you are also reflecting. So that way when you reset, you can approach it from like this new state of mind. So yeah, that was really cool. And so they were talking about that, and then somebody made a good point and was like, because after the host was saying like each one, she would say like, can somebody give a testimony? Because they took us to church, y'all. I was in there like, yes, hallelujah. But she was like, can somebody give an example of restore? So a woman gave, she was like, a while ago she was real sick, and she's been restored. She was like real sick, and honestly her a couple months ago, you wouldn't have thought she was gonna be here, you wouldn't have thought she made it, but like she was able to get through that. I forget what somebody else said, like renewing, or somebody said they renew every day. Was that the one? Yeah, I think that was a renewing every day, like every time. And this is, so restoring is really connecting with that idea of energy, coming back to yourself energetically. And then renewing is like that purpose, that passion, that drive, with this new restored energy. And then the resetting, like I said 1,010 times, is going back. Maybe I just want y'all to get it. That's what I want. I want y'all to understand. I want you to understand the words that are coming out of my Um, I'm so dramatic. It's hot. Um, but basically she was saying that like every time she interacts with someone, every time she wakes up in the morning, like her purpose is renewed. She knows she's on the right path. And so then somebody else was saying like with their reset was like, no, okay, so this girl said she was reset every time, like, she wakes up in the morning, or no, did she say renewed? I can't remember, because honestly, in some ways, renew and reset kind of sound the same. But I liked I can't remember which order it was, but then somebody else has said that, like, no, I think she did use that for reset. Is that like when she first found out about her diagnosis, like she didn't really know what to do. And she felt like she wanted to do some kind of like advocacy work, but she just wasn't ready yet. So she took that's what it was. She took the past 27 years, and there's no time limit. Like, there's no time limit on these things. It's never too late to do anything that you put your mind to. And if it's something that's really meant for you, it'll find its way back to you 110 times for sure. It'll find its way back to you. So she was saying that like it took her that amount of time to be able to like process and go through all of that, and now she's here, like she's been restored, she's been renewed, and she's ready to reset and like go on this journey. So that was like really, really nice. And so during the panels, I found out a couple new things, and it was something that I really liked that a couple of these organizations had brought up. And yeah, I'll have to find the papers, and I'll make a note to mention them and their services. Use code BB Bustin' Nuts for your next nut. It's not masturbation month anymore, but masturbation can happen anytime, and I would say anywhere, but don't do it in public because that's how you catch a charge. But other than that, masturbate. It's good for you. Use code BBBustinNuts30 for 30% off your next order of sex toys using the link in the description. Just had to put that Balesa ad in there because last week I forgot. Okay, I'm really so something that was a part of the discussion that I really enjoyed was this idea of status neutral. And like we all have our part in the continuum of care. Like a big problem with like sickness and really like a lot of things is stigma and being afraid to speak out about something, or yeah, really like speak out and speak up for things, disclose things, for fear of retaliation or backlash, like, and the stigma that's associated with something. And so there's stigma with being a sex worker, there's stigma with having an STD, there's stigma, like, even, and that stigma on these things even extend out to people that are truly advocates and are not directly impacted by certain things, or are not directly within, like, they're an ally of the community, whatever that community may be, whether it's LGBT, whether it's sex work, whether it's having some kind of disorder or diagnosis or something like that. So there's stigma in so many things. And this actually, like, this goes back to this piece too, which I do talk about this in Minisode 13, Go Get Tested. I believe I talk about this piece more in depth, but and somebody had brought it up too, is that like silence equals death. And that could be literal, or like just what is it? personally, and I'm not really sure if that's the word that I want to use, but like, if in the instance, and I think I use this instance in Go Get Tested, but, especially with HIV or some other disease, you're less likely to talk about it with people around you, or to want to go seek help. And even like, this was something that some of the panelists were talking about, is that, you'll go into a doctor and you could be a heterosexual male. You could be unmarried, single, and not having sex, but you just want to get tested. And like, sometimes doctors might be like, oh, well, what do you need that for? Da da da. And it's like, the virus does not like look and be like, oh, that's a black dude, no thanks, I'm not doing that, I'm gonna go over to this black woman, or I'm gonna go over to this white man. The virus is gonna find a host. They need white blood cells to attach to destroy your immune system. They are not looking for race, ethnicity, none of that shit. And you see it in higher populations because of discrimination and racism, and how deep that is in so many, all of the things. So you do see certain populations with these higher disparities, because they also don't have access to quality or easily accessible healthcare, affordable healthcare. They don't have access to healthy nutritional food. They don't have access to high quality education. They don't have access to, transportation or housing. So all of these things in those areas that tend to be black and brown people, non-white people, that they have these higher rates of things, these higher disparities. So it does become this institutionalized racism issue. But yeah, what was I saying before that? But at the end of the day, the virus could affect anyone. And so really, as a whole, and so because when we see these commercials for certain drugs, or like whether they're preventative or treatment wise, it's like sometimes they're targeted to specific demographic, usually that being males or gay couples. And it's like, no, we really need to advocate for this being more normalized. And yes, certain areas might need it more than others, but we need to really normalize this for people, because when we continuously other ourselves, the next thing you know, this could have been prevented years ago, but you were exposed, or whatever else. So it goes with so many different things of like, this is why we need sex education, because some people still think that you can get HIV from sharing a spoon from someone or drinking their cup, and it's like, no, that's not how that works. And just all the other, like, I'm sure that if I found like a list of ignorant beliefs, it would go on for very long. We would be here for a while. So yeah, what started that rant more specifically? So this, like, we're all responsible on this continuum of care. And I said in episode 30, niggas is depressing, how I had went to something back in February that my mom and brother had spoke with, and they were saying that the statistics had said that like last year in, I forget the counties, but 34 women tested positive for HIV. And this is in I forget which counties, but it was in the state of Maryland. 34 women tested positive for HIV, and 31 of the 34 were black women. So then it's like, then we start thinking about the black heterosexual males. But then a lot of times, like, people, like, when HIV first really started rising, it was literally coined the gay disease. So everybody's already like, there's this stigma associated with that. And the ways you can get HIV are through like the sharing of bodily fluids like semen, blood, vaginal fluids, breastfeeding, like shared the blood exchange, like blood transfusions, and like unclean needles, and mother to child breastfeeding, or like amniotic sac fluids through birth. Um, yeah. So it's like, but most people just know that you can get it through sex, bodily exchange fluid in that regard. And because it was so prevalent in the gay community, when it first came out, it was just kind of, stuck with that. So going back to the whole silence equals death, you are sick and you're scared, to go reach out, or maybe you get your positive test result, but you're scared to talk to other people about it. So now you're like alone dealing with this. And then the sense of like, cutting psychosocial, a lot of people like, a lot of people look to these support groups because they can't go to their families or their friends about it, or they're just not there yet. Like a lot of people use this group as their first form of disclosure, and like getting, if it's you just got a positive test result, being in a room full of people who may have been like, maybe they were a lifetime survivor, they were born with it, or maybe, however they got it, they've been where you were. And so to be able to look up to someone, like, that's a lot, like having to now, read your chart and actually understand your blood levels and what this may mean, and understanding that, like, okay, now you really have to pay attention to your nutrition in this and in all these other things. That's a lot. Like, that's a big deal. And to be in a healthcare system that's already very difficult to navigate, and now you're taking away funding for support groups, is crazy. But going back to this continuum of care, we are all responsible. And so, to what can I do to help mitigate the chances of the spread, is obviously protecting myself and getting regularly tested, knowing my status, am I positive or negative. And if I'm positive, then taking that medicine. And yeah, some days, like a lot of people talked about it, like, waking up like, damn, I don't want to have to take this pill, I'm tired of taking pills, but you're breathing and you're alive, and you still have, like, today is a great day to have a great day, and tomorrow, every day is a great day to have a great day. So how can you, like, restore, renew, and reset yourself, and like, how do you move forward? Obviously feel your feels, because that's big. That is big. Like, y'all, I told y'all, when I thought I had herpes, I thought my life was ending. I was so stressed out that like 2 weeks that I just did not know what the fuck was going on. So I'm not saying like, oh, just pretend like everything's all roses and shit. But what can you do now? How can you advocate for the next person, or really for yourself? How can you adjust and make these adjustments for yourself? And so a lot of people were saying, it's all of our duty to help spread. So if you are positive, making sure you are taking your medication or keeping up with treatment, and like making sure you're at your highest self, right? And this, taking it even out of HIV, like, well, no, specifically in this instant though, if you are negative, are you being tested? Are you willing to be on medication? If not, like, what other precautions are you taking? Are you using condoms? I know the whole conversation about condoms, that is like, damn, we hate using condoms, but honestly, condoms are good for you. You should be using condoms. They are 99% they protect, because nothing is 100% but abstinence. And if you're choosing abstinence, great for you, right? But majority of us, and this is just the statistics I'm pulling on my head, I don't really know what I'm not gonna say we shouldn't have sex, because I think sex is great. But you know what I'm saying, like, what part are you doing? Are you spreading awareness about it to other people? Because like I said, I didn't know about doxypep. My mom had said something to me about doxypep, and then I happened to see like something that was talking about like some crazy numbers in Atlanta, and I had posted it in my story, and I was talking about like, make this, because I always will randomly post like, this is your reminder, you're 3 to 6, and I do this on my personal story, but I'm like, oh, this is your something reminder to get tested every 3 to 6 months, partner or not. And I always like do that. And then I had mentioned like, you could take prep or doxy-pep, and then somebody DM me and was like, I didn't even know that doxy-pep was a thing. So it's like, if you know about certain resources to also help, then definitely spread the word. As long as you're spreading factual information, don't go out here spreading fake news, okay? What else? Oh, and they were talking about like so the other thing about the continuum of care is like status neutral. I never got back to that. What I thought was really interesting is a lot of organizations were saying that like they look at, when people come in, they approach like everybody's status neutral. And what that means is it doesn't matter whether you're positive or negative. It's like, what do you need? Looking at whole person health, because like I said, all of this stuff overlaps. When you don't have proper education and when you don't have proper proper or easy access to certain resources, how it just becomes a trickle down effect. And so really looking at person first. What do you need? Then we can tackle everything else. Do you need housing? Do you need transportation? Do you need some kind of support system? Like, what services can we provide you? Because we all have a birthright to a human experience. And that should also kind of be part of your purpose. Like, like we as a people all have the right to be treated like a human because we are human. And so advocating for other people when you see like certain resources or things are happening to a person or a country, because let's not forget, multiple genocides happening around the world right now. Multiple people not receiving resources, getting resources cut from them like this, y'all. So remember, and I like, that's a crazy kind of way, because I'm about to wrap it up. That's kind of a crazy, like, damn, you mentioned genocide and you mentioned this, like, but that's the reality of the world that we're in right now. There's so many injustices happening here in the US at home, or for my people who are out of the country, my international listeners, like I'm sure there's lots of things happening in your country. So I guess that's really just like my challenge to y'all with this episode is thinking about like, what is your purpose, and what can you advocate for, whether that's advocating something for yourself, something that you need, that would bring you to your best version of yourself, hopefully, so that you can advocate for others, or maybe you're very strong at advocating for yourself and what you need, so how can you help the next person, or what can you do to push forward in the fight. Yeah. So I think that's, did I touch? Oh, so that's what I'll end on. So my reunion. So it was a beautiful service that we had, a beautiful program. And then when I was leaving, I hit up one of my friends like, yo, what's the after party? Because I told everybody, I'm cool. If y'all do like an after move, I'll slide through, see who's there. So she had told me that majority of the people were going to this like bar that was around the corner. And so I pulled up, and it was funny because nobody was expecting me to be there. I was like, oh my God, kid, da, da, da. And apparently a lot of people were asking like, where was I? Which also kind of blew me, because a lot of people that I heard was asking about me, I told them why I was going to be there. Like, I was supporting my mama. So that just goes to show that y'all motherfuckers really don't be listening. Anyway, it's okay, because sometimes I don't always be, as y'all saw, the whole first like 4 or 5 minutes of this episode was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Anyway, what was I saying? So I pulled up and everyone was like, oh, no, no, no. And so I had a good time. I had a great time actually, but I'm glad I didn't pay $125 or $88 or $100 for that damn ticket, because it wasn't a lot of people. From the videos that I saw my friends post, other people that were in the video, it's no shade to them, but I was like, I don't talk to these people. I don't follow them on Instagram. Like, I left them at graduation. I don't really, and some of the people, like, there wasn't beef, but we weren't friends. So I'm like, I just don't have the energy to be like, oh my God, how are you been? No. And just with all the stuff that I got going on right now, I really don't care to tell anybody all the stuff that no. If you come across my stuff, great. But I just, so when I got there, you know, I didn't talk to, maybe there was like one person that I have not seen since high school graduation. We follow each other on Instagram, but we don't talk that much. But we were actually pretty cool in high school. Like, I really fuck with her. So we ran into each other. That was fun. We took some pictures together. And then there was like a couple of people that I've either seen in passing since high school, and it's still like cordial. I think all in all, though, there were 2 people that I genuinely have not seen since high school graduation that I like spoke to them. And then everybody else, it's like either we're still friends and we talk regularly or semi-regularly, or I've seen you within the past like couple of months, or like we definitely talk on Instagram. But everybody else, oh, shout out Mayoa and Deja if y'all listening to this. But I'm like, everybody else, I honestly didn't even bother speaking because I wasn't trying to be fake. If you said hi, I would have said hi, but also, like, yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I did have a really good time. Okay, under an hour and 20. Let's fucking go. And the sun's still up. Y'all be safe. Mango's message. Already said it. Go advocate for yourself, for others. Be a part of the change. Restore, renew, reset yourself. One thing that I did not mention that I wanted to mention was I talked about last week on the episode about the book, the propagation book that I started reading, or at that point I hadn't started reading, but I started reading it after I recorded. Neither here nor there. By Hilton Carter. Very good. Have not finished it yet, but I've read like almost 100 pages as soon as I opened that book. Very easy read. I liked it. I like it so far. But Target had this entire section of the Hilton. That's where I got the book from. Like, he has his own like set of gloves, a trowel, and scissors. He had the books. He had like all these different tools and stuff, pots. He even had live plants that he was selling. But Target did a horrible job of they killed those plants. Those plants looked so bad. And I was like, y'all wanted like $25 per plant. This is not even worth $2. That's crazy. So if you are like a horticulturalist or whatever, you work with plants, don't ever sell your fucking plants at Target because they don't give a shit about you or your plants. Okay. I've also just want to say, in like the past month, I've gotten 2 Target gift cards. One for $13. It was a refund because I had to get a new card, so it wasn't like a real gift card. And then when I went and got tested, I got a $15 Target gift card. I have not spent it yet because I don't know what I want to buy. Because honestly, I don't need to buy shit. But when it comes time to use it, I'm going to fucking Target. Okay, y'all be safe. Make good choices. Thank you.